What's good, y'all? General Goon finally back on the new channel. We only trans now. I hope y'all fuck with the new name. And for my first video, I got a banger story time for y'all. But before we get to that, I know y'all gotta be wondering where I've been. Well, I gotta be real with y'all. Back when I was making my old videos, your boy was broke. I was a straight bum out here, bruh. I was 20, still living with my parents, unemployed, smoking mid and gooning all day. Nah, that's a lie, actually. I was still smoking gas when I was broke. But anyway, my plan was to blow up off this YouTube shit and make stacks. But when I got banned and all my hard work went down the drain, so did my hopes and dreams. I didn't know how else I was gonna make it. But that was when I decided to put all the skills and knowledge I'd acquired to use, and I started managing a trans girl's OnlyFans. Me and one hung baddie I had been talking to locked in, and we've been making racks. I'm up right now. I've been smoking that top shelf sticky icky, traveling all around the world, and draping myself in the finest designer clothes. I still am a bum low key. I got some money, but I have no car, ride the bus, and still live at home with my parents. But I for sure had my priorities straight, because one thing I knew I had to do now that I'm rich is trans girl. I had never fucked with one in my life, and I knew now was finally the time. And that's what today's video is all about. So get your popcorn and or blunt ready. This story finna be crazy. So, our story begins one morning earlier this year, when I had just waked and baked and I was browsing on Twitter trying to get my goon on, when I seen a baddie who I'd put high up on my list of the top 20 trans teens, put both of her drop boxes with all her content in it on sale. I'd never seen her paid content, only the free Twitter stuff. So I decided to say fuck it, and I hit her up, negotiated the price down a little, and bought it. And bruh, it was hella content in there, like videos that would make you thousands if you were to sell them individually. But one thing that blew me away was how hung this girl was. Her meat was enormous as and I couldn't believe it. In all her Twitter posts and even her OnlyFans, she was always soft or had a semi. And when I seen her bricked up, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Her shit looked like that huge slug thing from Monsters vs. Aliens. She was extra long and thick as It had to be at least... Nah, wait. I'm gonna get to that later. After opening her collabs Dropbox and seeing the ugly motherfuckers she was doing shit with, I knew she would for sure let me and a light bulb clicked in my head. Before I could even bust a nut to her, I hit her back up and sent her some pics of me and asked her if she'd let me fly to her city in a couple days and for a couple hundred. And she immediately said yes. I was hype as I couldn't wait to have that long-ass meat in front of me doing all kind of nasty shit with her. I asked her what city she was from, and it turns out she lived in the same city as my little cousin that I go to see like pretty much every year. Nevertheless, I booked my tickets and an Airbnb with the quickness. That couple days flew by fast, and before I knew it, I was on a bus across the country. That's right, I got a 13-hour bus across the country for some meat. I'd never do that shit for some, but for some, I'm there, bruh. I was sat next to some fat Indian dude on the bus too. I didn't get a double seat I could lie down on, and on top of that, I had to transfer buses with a 3-hour wait at 6 a.m. So when I got there, I was sleep deprived, to say the least. I got to the Airbnb that afternoon, and it was nice as I'm not gonna lie. What's crazy is, though, that this Airbnb was literally down the street from my cousin's house. I didn't pick it either. She did. It was like 1:30, and I'd planned to meet the girl at like 4 or 5, so I decided to go wait for him outside of school to surprise him. When I seen him, he was happy as He couldn't believe I was randomly down here. He asked me what I was doing down here, and I told him I was here on business. I chopped it up with him for a minute, but then I told him I had to get back to where I was staying. But since he knew I had bread, he begged me to go into the city with him and buy him some clothes since he needed some. I said fine, and we hopped in an Uber and dipped. I hit the girl up to let her know I'd be a little late, and she low-key got mad as I just ignored it though, and continued doing what we was doing. Later that day when I got back to the Airbnb, she was even more angry. She was talking crazy, accusing me of trying to rob her, saying I wasn't gonna give her the money, wasting her time, and trying to take advantage of her and shit. Straight tripping. Oh yeah, and I think this might have been autistic, because she was like, "You're trying to take advantage of a vulnerable person." And I was like, "How are you vulnerable?" But she didn't answer though. She was like, "That's not what you're supposed to say." She did give me kind of slow vibes though. And also I heard some about most trans people are autistic, so I could believe it. But anyway, I didn't know this at the time, but she got all ready and put makeup on and dressed up nice and shit, just for me to make her wait even longer. And that's why she was so mad. She'd also went the whole day without eating, so she'd be clean for me to slide in. I had to calm her down and shit, and eventually somehow I convinced her to chill and come. She apologized and was like, "My bad, I was just hungry as I called her an Uber and she got there like around 9. Mind you, I still hadn't slept. I was tired as fuck, but in my head, I was still good to go. She hopped out the Uber and not gonna lie, she looked bad as One thing that caught me off guard was how tall she was though. She ain't really look that tall in videos and shit, but she was like 5'11", 6 foot even. I had on the Balenciagas with the big sole though, so we was about the same height. We hugged and shit, and we was talking, and the conversation was pretty chill. This girl was cool as low-key. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm not one to body shame, especially because I'm out of shape as but I gotta keep it 100. This girl had the flattest ass I have ever seen in my life. Caught me off guard for real. That shit was so flat, it just looked like she didn't even have an ass. Her legs just connected to her spine. Somehow when she bent over, it looked fat though, but when she's standing up straight, she on ironing board timing. I guess that's to be expected from trans girls that ain't got BBLs and shit though. She also smoked gas, which I loved about her. I lit up a fat joint of some sour diesel that I brought, and we got to smoking together. And she was surprised at how clean and white my shit was burning. I told her, yeah, there's some gas. But boy, was that the worst thing I could have done. I hadn't slept in almost 36 hours at this point, and the Red Bull I drank a couple hours prior had me up and alert. But as soon as that loud pack started hitting, I started drifting in and out of consciousness. Even she was saying I was acting weird as fuck, and it was literally because I was half awake. I tried to play it off, and we went to the living room and started watching like Alvin and the Chipmunks or some shit. But it literally got too much for me, and I was like, yo, let's go to the bedroom, I need to sleep. She had work the next morning, and I was trying to convince her to stay so I could fuck early in the morning after I got some good sleep. But she was like, nah, she can't. She on thin ice and she about to get fired already. We was in bed, snuggled up next to each other, while I was trying to convince her. And then out of nowhere, we just started kissing. Now look, I'm a proud ally of the trans community, and I believe trans women are women. But y'all still biologically dudes, and this was my first time kissing a biological dude. And bruh, let me just say, I must be gay as because I've kissed like 30 plus females in my life, and this hit so much more than any of them. I was so into it for real. It felt crazy. While we was kissing, she reached in my drawers and started my shit. This might have been a force of habit or whatever, but I was her panties like she had a coochie. You would have thought she did too, because her shit was tucked good as fuck. After her down there for a minute, I slid her panties to the side, and to my surprise, the fattest meat I'd ever seen in my 20 years on this planet popped out, and it took me by surprise. I literally jumped up onto my knees. I was like, what the f? She let out a little giggle as it popped out too, and that shit still replays in my head all the time. It was so hot. I'm bricked up right now just remembering it. But yeah, her was huge. If y'all have watched my old videos, I know I always be saying this girl 9 inches and this girl 11 inches, but I swear on anything, this girl had to have been at least 9 inches hard and at least 7 inches around. I wouldn't even say I got a skinny d, but she made my look like a pencil. Her was like a Pringles tube. No word of a lie. I grabbed it and I started caressing her meat while she was tugging on mine, and I was bricked to say the least. Even she was like, oh my God, your d is so hard. You for real would have thought I was off 5 Viagras, 2 honey packs, and a rhino pill. My shit was that hard. I couldn't wait any longer, and I flipped her over, tongue out about to devour her shit, when the biggest, nastiest whiff of dookie invaded my nostrils. She was like, yeah, sorry. I didn't think I was going to meet you, so I ended up eating. I couldn't wait any longer. I was disappointed, but I mean, really. I wanted her to be the one for me. I didn't have the balls to say that before we met, though, and she didn't seem like the type that'd be down with that anyway. But yeah, I was like, it's cool. And I flipped it back around and we kept each other's meat. She put mine in her mouth and started giving me some fire neck, but I was so sleep deprived and cross-faded on Red Bull and gas that I could barely even feel it. I decided to return the favor and put her big shit in my mouth. And let me tell y'all, bruh is way harder than it looked, especially because her shit was like trying to fit an Arizona can down my throat. She was like, you using teeth? And I had to go into dentist mode and open my mouth wider than it ever been opened before so I could slob on her shit correctly. In the back of my head, the old me was like, bro, you got a dick in your mouth right now. What the f are you doing, bro? But the gooner in me's dreams had been answered, and he was happy as fuck. I don't know if y'all ever been through this, but have you ever been in the moment of something and you're having such a good time that even in that moment, you know that in the future, you're going to look back on this as an amazing memory? That's how I felt right then and there while her fat, leaky tip was hitting the back of my throat. We were frothing too, in all kind of different positions. And let me tell y'all, that felt amazing. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Since I did it that one time, I've been wanting to do it again badly. It feels so good. But yeah, we were doing all kind of nasty shit in that Airbnb. Because I was so out of it, it was taking me so long to know. We were there for like an hour. I don't even remember half of it. I was so fucked up. But what I do remember is the lube. It kept drying up and going sticky, and I kept having to pour it on our meats again and again, and it got everywhere. And also, I guess because her meat is fat as fuck, when she strokes, she has to grip it hard as fuck for her to feel anything. And she was doing it to me, and it hurt so much, my shit was about to lose circulation to my body. She bust the fat and the gooner in me wanted to lick up every drop of it, but the straight dude in me couldn't let me do it. I did dip my tongue in it a little though, I ain't gonna lie. Eventually, I busted through. My eyes was closed, but she said I nutted a huge load. Again though, I couldn't even really feel it because I was so out of it. Afterwards, she got cleaned up and came back and we was laying in bed talking. She was a really cool girl, and I'm not gonna lie, I think my goofy ass caught feelings because I wanted her to stay, but she dipped after like an hour. Which is girls for you. When you want them to leave, they want to stay forever, but when you want them to stay, they out of there. But I kept it player and went to sleep. And that was the story of my first time with a trans girl. I still think about it till this day, like pretty much every time I beat my shit. It was genuinely one of the best days of my entire life, and I hope my second time with one of them is even better. I hope I filmed that shit too. Looking back months later, I definitely overpaid, especially since I didn't even end up. She definitely would have linked for like half of what I gave her, but it was a life-changing experience, and I don't regret it at all. Anyway, if y'all enjoyed, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button and give the video a like too. I got way more heat coming. Oh, and by the way, if y'all want to know who the girl is, she was in my video Top 20 Trans Teens. I'm not going to tell y'all exactly who it was, but I'll tell y'all this. She was in the top 10. I'm trying to find somewhere to put all my old videos so you guys can watch them. I tried putting them on Patreon, and they removed my ability to upload videos. And then I tried putting them on FanView, and they straight up banned my ass. I'm trying to put them on Telegram right now, but my shit bugging. Wherever I decide to put them at, follow my Twitter to stay updated. I'm announce it there. Y'all gonna get access to such classics as Top 10 Twitter Trans Girls, Top 10 Ebony Trans Girls, Top 10 BBW Trans Girls, and way more. But for right now, General Goon, signing out.